Hey folks, Cornell with YouTubeFISHINGVIDS. Welcome aboard. You guys have asked for it, so now you're going to get it. It's about that time. Folks, I've done my research. I've talked to a lot of people. And I decided that this little box right here has got a lot of benefits that I think everybody can enjoy. So I'm going to do something that a lot of people have already done, but I'm going to do my best to put a little twist on it to keep you guys entertained and hopefully teach you a few things about how I go about attacking a mystery tackle box. So let's get right to it. You know what I'm going to do here. I'm going to find something to tear into this little bad boy. It's a little late in the season. Not season, guys, a little late in the month. It's the last week of August. And this is the August mystery tackle box. So I'm going to open this up, and I think I know what's in here because I've seen a couple other videos done, and if what's in here is what I think it is, we might have a good time today. Let's see what I can do. As most of you know, and unless you've been living under a rock, a mystery tackle box is a subscription-based product that's going to send you a handful of lures once a month, a regular box and or a pro box. Standard regular box is going to be $15 a month, and you're going to get about $25 worth of lures in it. And then there's a pro box, which is about $25 a month, and you're going to have about $45 worth of tackle in it. And it's always a mystery. You never know what you're going to get unless you keep up with everyone else. It's opening up on YouTube. And I'm looking at what I got right here, and if this isn't any surprise to you folks, first thing you see is the card about what's inside. So that's giving you an idea of all the items you're going to see here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 things I'm about to show you. And the first thing that's sitting right on top is that cool jerk spin by Reaction Strike. I know you all have seen that, and if you haven't, now you have. Basically a jerkbait body, hard body jerkbait body style lure with an underspin concept willow blade underneath with a little wired arm. So when I saw this and I saw a few guys opening up, all I can think about was underspin, jerkbait slash spy bait. Now from what I understand, this thing sinks. So if this thing is going to sink and you're going to have the body of a jerkbait and an underspin concept, this is a perfect bait for suspended fish. So I've done a bunch of videos with an underspin. I've done a bunch of videos with the spy bait. So out here on a little bit of a breezy day and out off a couple of these points, as dog days of summer as it is, there's a chance that I might get into a fish or two that's suspended out here in about 85-degree water. So I've got the perfect rod ready to rig up with this little jerk spin by Reaction Strike. So we're going to get that rigged up. Next thing sitting right up on top is a couple really cool little Reaction Strike. What are these? These are perfect 3/16-ounce shaky head jigs. And along to go with that, I can see the bag already in here. And again, I've seen this before, but there's the Fishing Physics Genius bait. Looks like some shaky head worms. So that's going to be matched up. And for my finicky, super clear, highly pressured lake, this might be the one bait that I get a bite on today. It may be a mystery tackle box slam attempt, but on a day like today, beautiful blue skies, a little bit of a breeze, and we're post front conditions right now in the dog days of summer. This might be the only thing that gets a bite today, so don't be struggling with me too bad. It's going to be it can be pretty rough on days like today. And this bait's going to be real rough today because I decided to come out midday, and unless I stay out a little bit later, there's that awesome little topwater bait by Strike Pro. It's a jointed popper, and it's actually it's got a high polished shiny finish, so that's going to be a really cool bait to actually throw on a sunny day in some of the shade pockets, in some of the shady spots near some grass lines and such. So that little bait right there could be great. I'm going to challenge it. I might throw this in some shade pockets in some little areas where we got a little bit of grass. It's almost like not quite a fire tiger, more of a frog type pattern. Again, kind of lustrous. They call it baby bass, but it's a shiny deal. So there's your popper. It looks like it's a 3-inch 3/8-ounce popper. Great little bait. That's going to be fun to try out. So yeah, as you've seen in lots of other videos, you know, you've got a scratch off card in here. You got a scratch off card to challenge and see if you can hook up any little extra deals. You got your sticker in there that you've seen, and there's the famous Dibble Digest. First one I've ever gotten, guys. And again, I thank you all for the suggestions and the push to challenge this little idea. All I can say is that there is so many pros versus the cons to the mystery tackle box concept. The subscriber-based surprise box you get every month is one of those things that anyone from entry-level fishermen, young and old, to intermediate anglers, to the pros, anyone and everyone can benefit from this. The only objections I've ever heard from anyone that's ever thought about doing the mystery tackle box is that I could take that $15 and go out and spend it on exactly the lures I want, and I'm going to get what I want and fish with what I want. But guys, I'm telling you right now, if you want to be the best bass angler or angler in general that you can be, a mystery tackle box will challenge you to fish outside of your comfort zone, fish lures that you may not have ever considered buying off of a tackle warehouse or a Bass Pro Shops or the Dick's Sporting Goods. You reach in this box, you pull out a lure you've never fished with, you throw it out there, it could be your personal best bass you've ever caught. And you never ever would have thought that the lure that's in your hand that you got out of a mystery tackle box was the one that would do it. So zero cons, all pros to the mystery tackle box. How much fun is it to get a little box in the mail anyway? You guys know you love getting little treats in the mail when you do your orders with the tackle warehouses of the world. So just one more way to treat yourself, have something to look forward to in the mail, and get out on the water, challenge yourself, and become the best fisherman you can be. So I'm about to start rigging up. I'm gonna take one of these lures, tie it on, show you exactly the rigs, show you exactly the reason and place and how and why and what I'm gonna do to fish with it, and prayerfully catch a fish. And if I don't, at least you've learned about what rigs I'm using to tie it on and why and where I'm gonna do it. So hang tight, guys, let's get rigged up. Okay folks, I'm all rigged up with my jerk spin by Reaction Strike. So I'm heading over this point over here. I'm gonna find myself the drop off and some weed lines to play with this brand new lure I just got. So in very, very detailed fashion, I'm gonna tell you what we're dealing with here. It's a 4.25 inch, 5/8 ounce shallow runner. Again, jerkbait style body, little underspin concept willow blade, and a slow sinking shallow diving bait. Shallow diving only if you want to keep it shallow. It actually sinks, so if you want to count it down and get it to the depth that you see fish or mark fish or figure fish are, that's an easy thing to do. So we're going to go ahead and get out here and fish it on my St. Croix Premier Series 6.5 foot medium power moderate action, ultimately crankbait rod. So with that moderate action and with the fact that we've got these treble hooks, and I'm hoping to get a couple nice twitches out of it on a steady retrieve and give it a little jerk here and there to add the action, the moderate action and the fast quick tip's going to give it the action I need, and then cushion the blow on these treble hooks in case I load up on a good fish. This will hold them with 12-pound test fluorocarbon, and on the Team Lose Light LFS speed spool. This little beast right here is light, ultra light. It's actually a high speed reel, but you know, you can control your speed as much as you want, slow down, speed up as needed. So that's my setup for the day on the Reaction Strike jerk spin. So let's get out there and see what we can do. All right, so we're all tied on. First thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put this thing in the water and see what it looks like when this thing runs and see how slow this sinks, if it even sinks. Yep, it's a slow sink. And just like I thought, it's got a tail down presentation and it's actually sinking, which is good. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a couple more runs right there. Hopefully you guys can see it in the water. Awesome. It's basically on a straight retrieve. It's just gonna basically swim straight, just like an underspin with a fluke on it would do. With a little twitch, it's gonna go tail down and sink. Awesome. Okay, so I know exactly what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to get off these points and I'm going to get out into probably about anywhere from 12 to 20 feet of water and see if I can mark some fish and run this bad boy through them, see what I can do. Okay folks, so I think the best method of this madness with this jerk spin is to virtually spin it like, fish it like an underspin and or a spy bait. I'm casting it out across this point on this contour line. Bottom line, I have a weed line around this edge right here where it drops off. I've marked fish, but they are not active. I didn't expect them to be. This is a very unlikely scenario. Oh, actually I had a tap right there. I was just letting it sit still, but it's sinking. So I'm throwing it out there. I'm letting it sink down almost to the bottom, right on top of the weeds, and I'm actually taking it over the weeds, popping it free, giving it a little jerk, a real slow, steady retrieve, and then a little speed up, a pause, and a couple twitches. And I got one little tap right there, but I've gone at it for a little while now without a bite, and no surprise, this is really probably a better early morning bite, a little bit different type of condition right when the power fishing's on. Right now, it's gonna be a summer bottom fishing deal. So I'm gonna throw in that shaky head option they have in this box. Let me break that open and rig that up and show you guys what I'm gonna do. All right, folks, so here we go. We're gonna break open this box one more time and get out bait number 2, which I think is gonna be the bait of choice today. So we're gonna get out this bag of shaky heads. That's my Reaction Strike Porky's Revenge shaky head, 3/16 ounces. It's a mushroom style head with a little screw lock, and it looks like it's gonna be a 4/0 hook, which is absolutely perfect for the bait that's included in the mystery tackle box for the shaky headed, specifically again Fishing Physics Genius bait. So let's see what color they're calling this, if they're even calling it a color. Looks like a really unique kind of a pale shad green pumpkinish kind of natural color. All right folks, There's your jig head. There's your 10-pound test Seaguar and Vizex fluorocarbon, which is my leader, connected with an Albright knot, a real nice tight clean Albright knot, to 15-pound test braid, which is Sunline SX1 braid, 15-pound test. So we're gonna go straight into my polymer knot. A little repetitious for some of you folks, but for others, hopefully you're learning something. Here comes another look at a polymer knot. Just straight in and back out, right in the eye of the jig and right back in. So you basically just doubled it over. This pound test is a little bit heavy to just bend over and double over and stick through the eye, so just in and back in. And crucial, as I've said many times again, guys, let's just make this parallel. Both lines parallel, no twists, no turns. We're gonna get that knot to lie perfectly straight that way. And in doing that, we're just gonna tie ourselves an overhand knot. So overhand knot is next with parallel lines. Gosh, who doesn't know what overhand knot? Just like when we're tying our shoes, guys. The first process of tying our shoes, and come not super tight down onto the eye of the hook, but just snug. And all we do is right through that big loop goes the jig one more time. So we will make sure we keep everything parallel. The jig is now gone through the loop. Make sure those nice little coils don't get caught up in it. And we're gonna wet it at the eye of the hook. And we're gonna pull that tag end. Just the tag end until we get almost to the end, and then get both lines in your hand and pull it tight. Super solid, super tight polymer knot. One of the best knots known to fishermen. Okay, so we're going to trim that off. Not super close, but not super far. There's a little edge there. Now we're going to break open the bait. All right, so let's get a little more detailed on what we got here, folks. This is Fishing Physics Genius bait. It's got up to 12 hours of proven scent release. They're suggesting that it's a hydrogel, not plastic, not silicone, not rubber. Keep hydrated and stored individually in Fishing Physics Scent Soak Solution. All right, folks, let's break into this bag and pull one out and see what we got. A little bit stuck together. There we go. Interesting texture, interesting feel to it. Doesn't feel like many other baits I've used. Let's rig this thing up and see what it does. Okay, so I took that worm bait and I trimmed off the tip just to get a nice flat flush surface that's going to go right along with that mushroom style shaky head. So we're going to screw that on and we're going to see how that works. Start in with that point. Always dig that point straight into the worm and give it a twist, a gentle twist. This is a unique material. I'm not used to this. I'm used to more dense rubbers. It's almost hard to describe what this bait feels like, but just a really nice, slow, steady turn. Not as easy a bait to twist on these twist locks, but it's going. You just got to start it off with a very sharp point of that twist lock. And there we go. All right, so we're flush against the head. It is not coming off. All right, so we got that bait on there. We're gonna go ahead and bring that hook straight through. Barely exposed. Gonna come through the grass and they're gonna get a good bite on that. Let's see what that shaky head can do out here, guys. Here's the specific arsenal for my shaky head setup. I just got done. If I can get that off my leg. All right. There it is, guys. Lew's Custom Speed Stick Light. That's my shaky head rod. And again, for a lot of you new subscribers, this may be new to you. For you guys that have seen plenty of my videos, I apologize for being repetitious, but got to take care of the crowd here. Make sure everyone sees what I'm dealing with. 7-foot, medium power, extra fast action. So that's the Custom Speed Stick Light Lew's. It's their shaky head model. Paired up with the Stratic CI4 Shimano 2500. Okay, and again, like I said, 15-pound test braid connected to 10-pound test fluorocarbon leader. We got now a 3/16 ounce shaky head with that worm all coming out of the mystery tackle box. Let's give it a cast. Okay, so I've given this shaky head a go with this specific soft plastic. This soft plastic's, I think it's got its place, but I don't think this is probably the ideal shaky head, just for the sheer fact that it's pretty stiff. You know, this is the kind of bait that I think with the mass of it and the size of it and the texture and thickness, you're probably going to be best served to fish this kind of like you fish a Senko, just maybe weightless over some weed flats, real shallow water. Let something like this just kind of float and almost act like a jerkbait. You can kind of fish this like a soft jerkbait if you wanted to, over weeds and over weed patches. Maybe a tiny little 1/8 ounce, maybe even a 1/16 of an ounce tungsten weight just fluttered over some shallow weeds. But that's just basically my opinion. And I think the ideal situation for these jig heads, which are awesome, I think these little shapes of these little mushroom heads would be going to a classic roboworm, trickworm idea, something with a lot more flexibility. You can see right away how much more limp and so much more, how much more subtle a little roboworm or a trickworm could be. So yeah, I would save this guy for a little more shallow water, use that with all that scent to drop into holes of weed beds and such. I think that'll be a great place. And also, I'm out on a real crystal clear lake that's got tons of crayfish, bluegill, yellow perch. You know, the color is not quite what we're looking at out here when it comes to matching the hatch. If you're in any area that's got a lot of minnows and a lot of shad and such, that's going to be a great color for it. It's kind of a bluish, little black fleck tint. So that's what that's, I think, going to be. I'm going to hold on to that, keep that in its special juices to keep it soft and supple, and next time I have the opportunity to maybe fish that in one of those ponds or something, I can maybe pretend I'm a big minnow ready to get whacked by one of those bass hiding in the weeds. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and catch a fish, and I'm going to try and catch a fish on this brown roboworm with that reaction strike 3/16 ounce shaky head jig that I got out of my mystery tackle box. So there's the jig, same deal. I'm always going to bite a little tip off that roboworm, and we're going to put this reaction strike shaky head jig to work. Utilize that twist lock a lot easier with this soft bait to twist on. If you were to use that other bait that's a little bit stiffer, again, Texas rigging it on a extra wide gap 4/0 hook would be ideal. You can penetrate that bait a lot easier and have it hold on really good. But let's see if we can catch a fish. Now, I know there's fish down here. This point is usually pretty loaded. It's still a tough day, but let's get real subtle with a lot more action with a floating style shaky head worm on this mystery tackle box shaky head. Check that out. Perfectly straight. Looks good to me. Let's give it a go. Nice. Well, guys, there's the first fish of the day, and it's on the reaction strike mushroom headed shaky head jig. Very cool. Nothing big, nothing huge, but look at the hook set. So that's what we look for in good products. We want to make sure we get good hook setups, and that was a perfectly set hook right in the nose on that little dink. So that only took about 3 casts to find what I needed to find, which was, you know, the fish. And they're in here. It's just going to be a real finicky bite. It took a real soft, real natural acting floating worm to entice that fish. And you know, that jig head was right out of the mystery tackle box. That's something you guys can utilize. And I've found, I got an idea. I'm really excited about this mushroom head because, rinse my hand off, this mushroom head jig, if you guys are familiar with that Ned rig, and I know you are, I've done a video on it. The Ned rig is a great finesse technique, and specifically Z-Man Baits utilizes that extra stretchy Elastec technology to set up their little TRD Ned rig bait, and that little guy is pretty small, and the ideal jig head for that is the one they actually make, which is a mushroom style jig head, and it's an open hook concept. Now they've just come out, not just come out, it's been out a little while. I bought them, I don't have them with me, I wish I did. A bigger version, a chunkier, bigger version of the TRD. It's 4 and some inches, I believe. It's a little bit fatter, it's a little bit meatier. There's your jig head for the big size TRD. That mushroom head is perfect for it. That screw lock is awesome. And then instead of having an open hook design, you've got a weedless Ned rig concept. If you want to beef up your Ned rig and go for some of those bigger fish but still stay pretty finessey, promise you, there's the perfect mushroom head and the perfect jig head with a 4/0 hook to go in that bigger style TRD. That was my challenge. Those little jig heads that are made by Z-Man are really ideal for that small Ned rig, and that's a 4/0 hook on a 3/16 ounce mushroom head, perfect for your Ned rig. Okay, folks, it may be hard to tell, but it's pretty breezy out here, and these little pelicans, they move around quite a bit. I'm actually anchored up. I'm not sure if I mentioned that earlier. I've anchored up over this point. I got that one little dink. We're gonna make a move. We're gonna get on the backside of this northwest wind and see if we can get some more calm water. The breeze is good, but it's just a little much out here in the main lake. So we're gonna get into some areas where we're a little more protected, where I know there's still some deep water, where I know there's some good points, and where I know there's some good weed lines. So that's where we're gonna go. So hang in there, we're on our way. Okay, folks, I am somewhat out of the wind. It's actually a lot more calm back here, And if you look at what I'm looking at, I've got a little bit of grass, a little bit of shade, and it's time for the third bait out of the mystery tackle box. Midday, bright and sunny. Am I crazy? Let's find out. Here it comes. And there it is. Baby bass, super shiny, lustrous, Strike Pro, jointed popper. Okay, so I'm gonna put this on another rod reel combo that I've got here. I'm gonna show you exactly what that is. So let me get ready to break that out. But up close and personal, now that it's in my hand, there she is. Very cool little popper. There's definitely a little baby bass in here, so let's see what it does. So I always bring a classic 7-foot medium action fast taper St. Croix Avid rod. This is one of my most staple, most standard bait casting rods that I've got, but I'm taking off this lose reel. This lose speed spool Tournament Pro is coming off because it's got 15-pound test fluorocarbon on it. Fluorocarbon sinks. It's not good for topwater bait. It's not ideal for a popper especially. So in my little bag of tricks, I always keep a spare reel for lots of reasons. And the spare reel that I keep in my bag is always a high-speed reel with 30-pound test braid for this exact type of situation. So a topwater bait requires, in almost all cases, some type of floating line, whether it be mono or braid. And in this case, I've got 30-pound braid. It's going to be the ideal situation for this popper. I'm going to get a really, really awesome cast out of it, and it's going to float and give me a solid hook set on a long cast. Maybe it's not so calm back here. It's still a little breezy, but I'm going to tie this on and show you how I'm rigging it, and we're going to get at it with a little popper in the shade. Okay folks, this happens to be specifically 30-pound test Power Pro Slick Green, but if you noticed, it's not so green towards the front there. I actually took a Sharpie pen. See how it goes green and then it goes black. If the lighting's right and it looks right, you can actually see how easy you can see that line, and then that line just kind of disappears behind you. You might not even be able to see it even in this lighting. So that's one of the reasons why we darken the line, just give you that little bit of advantage. If you got super clear water and bass are looking up at your bait, that's something to think about. But there's that awesome little Strike Pro bait. It looks really cool. Whoa, wait a minute. I didn't even notice this, guys. Look at this, look at these open holes in it. I didn't watch enough of these videos to show people showing this bait up, but it looks like it's got a kind of chugging open mouth, so water's gonna actually come through the bottom of it. I gotta see how this thing works. It's gonna be really interesting. Technology is awesome. You never know what you're gonna get with new lures. All right, polymer knot again, guys. On the polymer knot, I'm just gonna go in and back out. So in one side, back in the other, back in the same side to get that line doubled over. There we go. Wind, I'll tell you, geez, every little tiny little blow of that wind. All right, parallel lines. There we go. This is the routine for all my polymer knots. Parallel, fold it over, overhand knot, come to the knot, don't let your line get caught up in the hooks, back through the big loop with the entire bait, try not to get anything caught up in the line. There we go. All right, cool. So again, for you new subscribers or you folks seeing some of my videos for the first time, as I showed you earlier in this video, when you pull the tag end of your fluorocarbon or mono, that's crucial just to avoid heating up the line and weakening the knot. In this case, it's okay with braid to pull the main line. So if you pull the main line, you don't waste all that braid on your spool. It's just one way to be a little more economical and save yourself a little braid. You don't have nearly as long a tag end to cut off, so you're just saving line. So there's your polymer knot on the popper out of the mystery tackle box. I'm going to trim that off, and the wind is a little busier than I thought over here, so we're going to get up on that shoreline, that shade. We're going to throw this popper. That's a first look at the popper out of the mystery tackle box. It's spitting pretty good. I guess those little open channels in the mouth are giving it that spitting effect along with the popping effect. And once I come out of that shade, I'm just pulling it back in. I'm just going to stay right on the shade. Don't waste any time out of the shade. Put it right on the edge of the grass and see if something wants to come up and eat. Uh-oh. I was wondering why my bait wasn't on the surface and why it was jiggling a little bit. What do we got? Is it a perch or a bluegill? Oh, it's a blue. You know what, guys? That's not a bluegill. Is this one of those, it's some type of panfish. It's one of those, oh guys. Okay, this is your lesson, or not your lesson, this is your chore of the day. I want any and all of you guys to tell me exactly what species of sunfish this is. I'm not even gonna guess. I think I know, but I'm not gonna guess. I want you guys to put it in the comments below. I'm gonna look it up, I'm gonna have the answer, but I want you guys to come up with exactly what type of little panfish we got here. But I just got my first fish on the second bait in the mystery tackle box, and it was on that pretty cool little popper. So let's see if we can actually get a bass on it. Oh my goodness. Did I do it again, or is it a leaf? I hope that's a leaf. If that's not a leaf, oh my God. Seriously. Got to give this bait credit for drawing some attention, even if it's ultra tiny little, smaller than the bait itself. Same deal, guys. What the heck is it? That is a tiny, itty bitty little effort made by that guy. Can you believe that? These guys trip me out. It's always fun seeing these little sunfish, panfish deals coming up after these baits. But yeah, that's number 2 fish on it anyway. So let's see if we can get the bass we're dying to get. Okay folks, I'm gonna call it a night. That was one tough night of summertime bass fishing, as it always is this time of year. Not a bad type of situation to challenge what is ultimately the challenge, a mystery tackle box. Thank you guys very much. A big shout out to all of you sending me messages on YouTube, shooting me comments and messages on Instagram, challenging me, telling me, what are you gonna do? You're gonna do a mystery tackle box? Do a mystery tackle box? Well, there you go, guys. There's my first mystery tackle box challenge. Certainly wasn't a slam, but maybe it was a little bit educational for you guys. Hopefully you got something out of it, got an idea of how I can pull a couple baits out of a random box, put them on some rods and reels, and at least show you how to put them together to do the best you can with what you got, with the conditions you got. So if you're interested in mystery tackle box, remember it's a regular box, which is what I had here today. 15 bucks worth about $25 worth of tackle. You have got the pro option, which is a $25 box a month, which is worth about $45 worth of tackle. Just consider that as one of those challenges for yourself. You know, if you want to become a better fisherman, you want to get out here and try different baits, you want to build your arsenal of baits, it's an awesome way to go. You can easily spend that $15 or $25 out at any local bait and tackle shop and buy all kinds of stuff that you think will work, but if you keep buying the same old thing all the time, you're never going to challenge yourself. So keep that in mind when you decide whether or not you're going to hit up the mysterytacklebox.com for an order. Guys, as always, I appreciate you joining me. As always, I appreciate you subscribing. And until we meet again, over and out.